So it looks like the National Basketball Association is trying to rally and see if they can salvage the 2019-2020 season before it's too late amid COVID-19. I'm Matt Levine welcoming you. Let me adjust this. Matt Levine welcoming you. There we go. To the 954sports.com YouTube channel. Thanks for paying a visit, checking it out. Yesterday I talked about these guys. Major League Baseball trying to see if they can salvage their season, which of course never got underway because of COVID-19. They were supposed to start playing ball on March 30th, around April 1st, but the season has been indefinitely suspended, delayed. And Major League Baseball potentially working on a plan to start July 4th weekend, play half a season, 82 games with other sorts of restrictions and modifications on what the new normal would be as far as professional sports go and MLB. Now, the NBA, they were in the midst of having a great season when things came to a screeching halt for the National Basketball Association on March 11th. No NBA hoops since, as the NBA had about 20 games, 19 to go, something like that for most teams, between 18 and 20 games to go in the regular season, and they gear up for what would hopefully be an epic playoff season. Last year, I enjoyed it. It feels like it was a long, long time ago with Kawhi Leonard and the upstart Toronto Raptors making history, right? Became the first team in NBA history to win a NBA title and not be in the continental United States. Doing it north of the border and giving all Canadians and Torontoans a reason to celebrate. I love Toronto. Whenever travel does resume, there are so many places I not only would like to go see, but places I'd like to go back to. Toronto is one of those cities. Nonetheless, as the NBA stopped play on March 11th, Lakers were 49-14. They had the top seed in the West in command. The 8th seed would have been Memphis, the last playoff team in the hunt. They were just around 500, 32-33. On the flip side, in the East, Milwaukee was in cruise control, 53-12, and Orlando rounding up the 8th and final seed, again with about 20 games to go. At the time, they were 30 up and 35 down. So potentially you would have a stretch run in the NBA as well, but the playoffs are where you get the thrills. And for me, as a lifetime suffering, lifetime Knicks fan, longtime suffering one, you really are numb to playoff basketball with having your team involved, at least this century. So what you do is you root for a great postseason and some great moments, and that's exactly what the Raptors did last year. The NBA looking to create magic. Let's talk about it. So nothing official, but yesterday, some of the game's biggest and brightest stars, led by the National Basketball Players Association president, pictured there, Chris Paul, who was having a spectacular season with Oklahoma, resurrected this year, right? The perennial all-star. I think he's 34, 35 years young. Nonetheless, he's the pres for the Player Association. And he had a conference call with some of the powers to be in the NBA, including the commissioner, Adam Silver, and some players, a private conversation. You see those guys pictured there, right? Was some of the guys that were supposedly on the call. I believe all of them were supposedly on the call, from Harden to LeBron to the Greek Freak to Kawhi to Curry. And they kind of did this call to see what it would take to get back to the court and resume basketball. See if they can, again, salvage the season. The speculation was that if the NBA didn't salvage the season regardless, that play for next season, 2021, would begin around Christmas time. So, I understand the need and desire to get back on the hard court for these guys. That's what they do, right? Their time is short. It's a very limited window that they have as professional athletes. They're always battling for their time to be able to play ball. They hone their craft, their trade year-round throughout a lifetime. They're showmen. They want to get out there. They want to do what they do best. Hopefully we all do. I do. And I can respect that 100%. Now, there are things that they're going to have to look into, and this is what supposedly the conversation was about yesterday. And the consensus, reportedly, right, is that all the players are kind of on board. But what they did was, today informally, reps of the Players Association did a little polling, seeing what the other players in the league, testing the waters, gauging the temperatures, thought about returning. And reportedly, the majority is in favor of getting back to basketball. But there's always a but. There's the need for the health, the safety, the logistics. Everything would have to fall right in line. Players have already taken a cut, a 25% cut. And that'll kick in on May 15th. The funds right now, they're in escrow. And they'll be determined by games lost. It'll be determined, the cut they take. So that's May 15th. So that's what, 3 days from now? 2 days from now? So the NBA, they're battling father time as well, as far as the season goes, and whether you cancel it and you move on to next year because of COVID-19 and the uncertainty. So I don't know if we get LeBron throwing down monster jams like that, and you get the likes of the Lakers and the respective franchises back to play. I'm not sure how they would do it. You talk about the logistics, the safety, the health. You're going to have limited personnel on hand, right? You're going to have to get testing kits. You have to take temperature to figure out if you can do it at a neutral site like an Olympic-style tournament. How long it will take. You've got to worry about the referees. Of course, there would be no fans. Just a lot would go into it to pulling it off. I mean, sports has not completely gone silent. There have been modifications and audibles called. Here you see a player in the Korean Baseball League, which got underway this week with fanless play. You see the player wearing the mask. I'll say one thing, basketball is not a sport. I don't think any sport is made for wearing a mask. Can't see the ball players in basketball wearing a mask. That's why everyone's got to be COVID-free. And you've got to do this the right way, if you can do it at all. However, they had the call, and that's what they have to do. That's their business. So they have to take, again, the temperature of their business and see if it's worth moving on and having some kind of tourney, right? Tournament of Champions to wrap up the 2019-20 season, or do they move on to next year and wait and see? Me personally, I want the hoops. If it can be done the right way, I think it would be an incredible, incredible morale booster for the United States. Even if you're a lighthearted sports fan, basketball fan, it'll be cool to watch basketball, to watch these guys go out and compete and to get back into something, have a rooting interest one way or another. I think it would be great to have basketball back if it can be done, just like I said in my video yesterday about Major League Baseball. If it can be done the right way again, right? I'll say that till the cows come home, obviously. Now, interestingly enough, as I kind of brought up the term myself, a Tournament of Champions, there's a lot of talk about what, if this can be done, what the parameters would include. One of the ideas that are floating around is a play-in tournament for teams that maybe weren't mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, meaning, all you can do is laugh at the fact that the New York Knicks virtually need a pandemic to have a shot at the playoffs. Sad but true. And I don't mean to poke fun at COVID-19, but I think you hear what I'm saying. Knicks would probably be in that play-in tournament and would have a chance they normally wouldn't have at making the playoffs. But a lot of this is to be determined, right? So it's a wait-and-see game. But it's encouraging, at least on a couple of fronts. At least it's encouraging to think that maybe we will have sports again, which would be a semblance of normalcy. Or at the same token, we don't have them, and we get an answer. And then we wait patiently. But I have a feeling where there's a will, there's a way. And if everything can be sorted out with the brain power and the powers that be, and the players are all in, why not hoop it up, right? Let's do it. Get out on the court and determine a champion in the National Basketball Association. All we can do is stay tuned and hope that we have hoops sooner than later.